This is going to be so interesting. I swear no one has a band history as like just so crooked as ours.
Yeah.
Like
the demo tapes, recordings.
So many things to be ashamed of.
Lyrics, like perhaps lyrics and progressions in sound.
Yeah.
So just sort of talk us through those main things. Records, sound development.
Yeah.
Band lineup changes, that sort of stuff. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That'll get you talking about.
Man, like seriously.
Pop questions anyway.
So many aspects.
Yeah. Are you guys right? Do you have to go anywhere?
Nah,
right?
I'm sure.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk us through the first demo.
First demo, we'd stopped practicing at the hall and we started practicing at my church in this tiny little crèche. And there was a guy from my church who worked for a music shop or something, and he had a little digital recorder. He said, I can do a demo for you. And we were like, yeah, sick. So we did like 5, 6 songs on called Commercial Distortion. And we did the guitars first, and Dan had to play afterwards with the guitars through his headphones.
Seriously.
And getting faster and slower. Everybody was trying to keep up with it.
That is how little we knew.
We had no idea
how little we knew.
And then,
and like the drum roll, everyone's like, that drum roll fully slows down, and then it speeds up. I was like, yeah, well, I kind of had to play the guitar.
and then we go to Derek's house once he'd mastered it and put effects on it. We thought it was cool. We like, is that us?
In headphones.
I can't believe it. How good do we sound?
You sound amazing.
And we went to Battle of the Bands. We had a shoebox full of 20 of them and sold them all that night. And that was it. No more.
Pretty much, hey. That was actually 300 of those demos.
Was it?
Yeah. And they all went on that Battle of the Bands.
I haven't even got one.
And we won gaffer tape, remember?
Oh, we won a gaffer tape.
Yeah. So that was demo 1. Then there was this is interesting. This is Darren Thompson, famous producer, Adelaide record producer. This was his debut.
Yeah.
This is where Darren learnt to recording SERAPHS COAL at SAE Studios. We did
School of Audio Engineering
through the night.
Yeah, all nighter.
It was all night.
Did an all nighter and recorded what was it, another 6 tracks in one night, all done, mixed. And so it was in the morning. We remember it was the best feeling ever. We're just like, let's just go home. When you woke up, the first thing you did was put the tape in. That's just what we recorded. And that was cool. I really like that demo even now.
Still a good one though.
Like that was the stand demo, and then
we used guitar amps in that one.
Yeah,
we did. And I played my drums. And first even. That was live. Yeah. Both recordings were live, but what happened with the other one was I had to retrack my drums to the guitars for some reason.
Yeah.
So anyway, we entered our second Battle of the Bands, and we won 2 of 2.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
And we won a demo recording session at Globe Studios.
And it was the guy who was in the Beatles cover band.
That's right.
Fab 4. It was in his garage.
And he had
no idea about punk rock.
Even to this day, I reckon that was the best we ever recorded, just that it sounded terrible.
Yeah, he had no idea.
Yeah. It sounded terrible. Like he gated my snare because it was like he wasn't used to
like
someone
robot.
playing like 100 beats a minute. And what did it sound like? It was weird. It was like a gated reverb. It was like if you put Bon Jovi
It's a new style
on
of music.
speed. Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
And he had all these delays, and we'd do a vocal, and he wouldn't move the delay, and it would come like 2 beats after we actually did the vocal.
It was sick though. They had classic songs such as Submarine Christian, Comply Conform.
Yeah.
So many good tracks on that. We never released it. Then came our debut EP, Don't Mind If I Don't, which was my favourite record, I think. That had all kind of our heavier, punchy songs from kind of our hardcore bracket and more kind of early skate punk style bracket.
We had individual songs in that one. It wasn't really.
Yeah.
There was like 1 or 2 songs we wrote completely together.
Yeah.
Apart from that, we sort of brought songs to it.
Yeah, fully.
That's what's cool about it.
Yeah.
Diverse.
Yeah.
And that was we really found our own sound on that record, I think. And the second EP we did was totally different. Like a lot of the songs were written at the same time. Like we had a lot of the poppier songs when we recorded Don't Mind If I Don't, but we decided to put all the heavier ones, like theme it. Don't Mind If I Don't is this album, and they sound good as a bracket. Operation Save the Humans, we kind of developed that kind of idea, like because no one was playing pop punk that we knew, and kind of developed a sound around that. And Operation was kind of really where we saw the biggest growth, maybe, I think, for the band. Like, we got really big on that EP.
Oh, it helped when you had a bit more money behind you and
Yeah.
a studio that knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, when we first started, we had no idea about sounds and what sounds good and how to record guitars, double track and stuff like that. And just through Darren and Ange from Soundhouse, just sort of started to work out what works well, and then we actually started listening to our albums, our albums that we like, and drawed from that. I like that kick drum, I like that guitar, and then you just say, let's copy that guitar and that bass.
Basically, piece it together.
Get your sounds.
I mean, the thing is, like, nobody knew what they were doing back then. Like, it was one of Ange's first recordings.
We didn't even know how to play it.
Don't Matter Phone was one of Ange's first recordings, so it was the start of Soundhouse, it was the start of Strategy Records. Darren's attempted to label. Darren just decided to hock all his gear from his last band, Rash, and just say, look, I'm just going to sell all my possessions, and with the money, I'm just going to put out this compilation of bands that I believe have something to say. And so he did that, and that was the SAE recording sessions. And we went on to release our 2 EPs on Strategy Records, which was cool. And Darren did a lot for us, Like,
Yeah, dude.
he was like, he had done music, He was 10 years on even then, and so he like.
Taught us a thing or two about playing instruments as well.
Yeah, he took us under our wing, told me to keep my shirt on, lest young ladies come across a stumbling block. And we never listened to him about that. We always did that. But Darren would not want that on the documentary.
So it's going on
So
the
I
end.
bet that's on the big screen right now.
It's on the end credits.
Hey Darren, shirts off. Woo. Yeah, but no, Darren had a massive heart and a massive vision, and really without him and just really his sacrifice at the start,
Totally.
to set us all up, it wouldn't have been anything that it was today. Out of that came the underground shows, out of that came your Black Stumps and whatever else, and the whole thing kind of just grew from there until you started hearing, man, there's Christian bands up the East Coast, and now it's like Australia wide, straight up. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
See how it's got 63 left on one.
Nah.
Just quickly mention it.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, cool.
Yeah. Well, we could tie it in with like
Yeah,
recordings.
Yeah, because they're all different recordings.
Just talk through the other talent of the band.
Yeah.
So we've got Min.
Yeah. So
When we
after
first-
Operation?
No, after Don't Mind If I Don't, because we'd gone in the studio and we'd written 2 guitar parts.
Yeah.
Like we'd done octave parts and just the normal guitar part. And then we'd go to play the songs that were recorded live, and it just sounded really thin compared to the CD. And so first up it was Ben, who was a surfer. You want to talk about Ben?
Benzo was a mate of mine I met down south just through surfing and whatever else, and the guys I was skating with and whatever at the time. And he was a legend, like amazing dude, and he was an awesome guitarist. Like,
Humble guy.
once again, at this stage we didn't know how to play octaves. It was like when he showed us, we're like, is that how they do that? Like octaves. Like, man, like only our band could have been that clueless, But yeah, Ben brought like a whole new element to the band. Like he fleshed out all our songs in second guitar parts, and really he kind of brought them to life.
Great
But,
stuff for it.
yeah, it didn't. Ben played a fair few shows with us, and after a while, he kind of felt that his vision for the band wasn't the same as our vision for the band, and he loved the band, and we loved having him in the band. But in the end, he followed the call to just keep surfing. Like he at the time had sponsorship and stuff, so he kind of dedicated more time to that. Then Sean.
Then Sean came along just before we recorded Operation Save the Humans.
Yep. End of
And-
Jemima.
Yeah, end of Jemima. I remember actually talking about Underground.
Yeah.
One of my first Underground shows I went to go see Jemima.
Yeah.
It was just when I'd first got into music, and Jemima had finished playing one of their first tracks. Oh, what was that song? That one that was controversial. Hit Run Girl.
Hit Run Girl was a great song.
They
Jemima
played-
were a great band.
They played this song called Hit Run Girl, and I just thought it was the best thing ever. I thought it was so cool. And then, so Yeah, Sean was the guitarist and bass player from Jemima because they swapped around. And then that band finished up, and Sean said, "How about seeing as though you're missing a guitarist, how about I play for you guys?"
Do you remember they used to wear suits?
Yeah.
You did too.
Always.
Yeah.
Charge suits.
And the drummer sat like this far from the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. Good time.
So that was Ben. Oh, sorry, that was Sean.
Yeah. Ben, Sean, then John. There was no other guitarist, was there?
No.
Yeah, cool. So I guess the way we always saw it was that we were the core, the band, and if one of us was to leave, that was the end of the band, because that was kind of like we were the mix, the three elements and our varied influences is kind of what comprised our sound. So, it was wicked having all these other guitarists come in and they added their flavour to it. But yeah, you can really see it throughout the records as well. Like Ben's pop punk angle on he contributed a lot to Operations Happy Humans by the time we recorded it, and Sean contributed a heap of really different kind of chord
Jangly
playing.
stuff.
Yeah, jangly, more indie rock influences,
Yeah.
like on our second EP as well, and even some of the stuff that made it to the album, The More Things Change.